week 26, my friends. How good is that? Week 26, that is literally halfway there. Wow, that's a lot of work. So well done if you've got this far, or if you just started. You have 26 lessons that you can work through to improve your drawing skills. I honestly feel like it's quite an achievement. So let me tell you what we're doing today. First of all, it's the last vase we're going to do this year. Still life can be a little bit boring, but it teaches you so much. So I do apologize that we have done quite a few, but it's really good for our training, for our observation, and our patience. And I've probably pushed your patience quite a lot recently, but this one should hopefully bring a lot of skills together. We should be looking at curved edges. We should be able to shade from a hard edge into a soft edge and really blend those shadows. And we should be shading incredibly dark. So grab your pencils and let's get started. Because we're looking for still life again, and the classic jug and ball has to come up. I'm sorry, I know it's really annoying, but it's just so good for you. So with our outlines, I want you to look for symmetry in the vase. Either use a line that goes all the way through it, or just try and do it really nice. This is a little bit more challenging than the previous vases we've done because they've had cylinders and circles. So this one, you're really looking for the left being the same as the right. Once you've done that, you're going to add the shadow line that goes around the ball and around the vase. So if I draw a line on the actual picture, you'll see quite clearly that the left side is in light and the right side is in dark. So hopefully that's quite helpful for you. Now we're going to go on to the fun bit straight away. So the darkest thing on this picture is either the block underneath the ball, the darker shadow of the ball, or the block underneath the vase. And I thought it's maybe a little bit easier to do the block underneath the ball. It's also on the left side and I'm right-handed, so if I do the thing furthest away from me, it's going to prevent that smudging that gets really annoying. So make sure you're using your 8B pencil and try and push this in as dark as you can go. You might find it's really streaky, so feel free to kind of go back with your 2B just to get a harder pencil to get in that grain, because it can be very frustrating and you'll see that I'm spending a little bit of time on this just to make it a bit more even. Now it is quite boring, I'm not going to lie, doing a big dark square, so if you need to give yourself breaks or move on a little bit, then by all means do that. But this does have to be dark and as streak free as you can. Once you've done that, you're going to do the same thing in the dark side of the vase. So everything on the right hand side is at least a value 6 on the value scale. And hopefully everyone remembers what a value scale is. And if you don't, then click back on one of the videos and figure it out. No, don't figure it out. That's lazy of me. This is all in dark. So you want to make sure the base layer is not too light, because then it won't look round and we've done all this work for no reason. So make sure you're shading that in nice and dark. Again, if it's looking grainy or too textured, go back over it with your 2B and that'll help just to smoothen out those annoying bits of lead all over. Then of course you have to do the same with the ball. And do watch out for that smudging. My knuckle just about misses the vase, but very soon I'm going to show you a trick to prevent the smudging anyway. So the final bit of dark is the bit of wood under the vase, and then obviously you've got that shadow next to the vase too. So once you're happy with the smoothness and you've got all the dark bits in place, that's when we can start adding the detail. So it should look like a very basic flat drawing so far, but it does start to look a little bit round because we do have a high contrast of light and dark. So now we're really going to test ourselves. We've had loads of practice this year on making something from a hard edge into a soft edge. So you've got that really strong dark on all of the edges on your shapes now, and we're going to try and blend them so that so that you can't see the edge anymore. And if you need a refresher, do look back at one of our first episodes on how to blend edges. Not only are we blending the edges from the shadow to the light, but we also have to push the darkest side of the vase. I really want to say darkest side of the moon, but there's no real reason why I should say that. So you'll see now in my vase that I have a really dark right hand side, and now I'm blending the edge to the left. So my blending pencil is going to be my 2B, and then I'm going to follow it with a 2H later. But for now, my main focus is trying to get the curvature really smooth, and this is a difference between a round edge and a flat edge like the square. So make sure that you do leave a little bit of white for the highlight, because that's what this image is giving us and what we need, and it should start to give the effect of it being curved. So spend your time in it. Make sure the grain again is nice and soft, so it's not something you can really rush, especially if you've drawn it as big as me. Bit annoying, but we move on, we live. And it's actually going to be a way bigger achievement because we've done something very difficult. So bravo, future us. Anyway, carry on and see if you can start to add some detail on the table as well, and see if there's anything you've missed. Now, a nice trick I like to do is to prevent any smudging on my hand. I actually lay a piece of paper down on the drawing. That way it stops me from, well, smudging it on my hand, getting dirty, and also ruining the picture, because there's nothing worse than doing all this work and then getting pencil everywhere. So grab yourself a scrap piece of paper, it doesn't matter what it is, and just place it on top. This is going to be essential for your background, which is literally everywhere. So very long again, but what this is doing is teaching us patience, and it actually will help your drawing to become more 3D. So the key in this part is to make sure that your background is darker than the light, especially on the carpet and the light side of the vase and the board. It needs to be darker. So this is something that you'll take your time on, and you might have had a stressful day and you're like, oh, I'm going to do my background, because you don't really need to think that much about it. You just need to get it on, try and get it smooth, and just make sure it's not too flat. So keep working on that, and hopefully you should have a very amazing drawing that you're incredibly proud of. If you're chuffed to bits with the progress you've made, don't forget you can support me on Patreon by just subscribing £3 a month to get content, exclusive content, and you get to support a starving artist. Other than that, I do hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you're proud of what you've done, and I'll see you next week for another video when we do something way more interesting than vases. Woo! We're there.